right, today I'm going to be building a swamp train. I don't have any specific plans for the new campaign in this, but when could you not use a swamp, right? So what I've done is I have just a piece of real thin plywood here, and I've cut out a piece of foam to match, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that down here to get started. All right, so to glue this down, all I'm going to do is put this Gorilla Glue, just make sure it's okay for foam, on one side, on one surface, and then I'm going to spray the other surface with water. This does have a little bit of glue and dish soap just for other things I use, but this will be fine for this too. So let's go ahead and get that done. Put something heavy on this, try to keep the edges down best I can, and let it dry. All right, this is all dry onto the wood, which is great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and kind of draw out some areas where I want the resin to go. I'm not going to mess with anything on the edges, just so it's an easier pour. So I'll draw out those areas, and then I'll take my utility knife, kind of just cut those out pretty shallow at an angle, and that way it'll be ready for some texture, and then we will prime everything, and then we'll paint everything, and then the resin will be the last step. So see what we can come up with for kind of rough sketch. So I'm gonna get that cut out how I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and put glue over the whole thing, and then we're gonna sprinkle this sand for some texture on top. All right, we'll go dump the excess off and let everything dry before we prime anything. That's all dry, which is great, because now I'm going to go ahead and prime this whole thing with brown, and then in all the kind of swampy pool areas, I'm going to do like a black base. So we'll get that done, let that dry, and then we'll go from there. This is now all dry, as you can see here. Again, I did brown on mostly everything, black in kind of the lower spots where I'm going to put some resin. I'm going to go through now and give this another kind of like base coat type of deal, sort of dry brush, sort of kind of just poking around with some different colored paints. I'm going to use some greens, some other browns up here, maybe even some purples in the lower spots, just to kind of give it some different colors for when we pour. So let's get started. While that's drying, I'm actually going to go through and try to make something I haven't made before. I'm going to use this kind of cheaper paintbrush and take off some pieces kind of like this. I'm going to hot glue the ends, and then I'll green wash them and use those for kind of longer pieces of grass to stick up. So again, haven't done this, but we're going to see if we can make something out of this. That is pretty perfect, especially once we green wash these. So let's make some more. All done. I made 13 of them just because odd numbers in nature apparently is the way to go. So I got 13 of those put on the board. I also have some of these deadland tufts that I'm going to kind of put in throughout here too. So we should be pretty good greenery wise. I still want to put some grass down too, very patchy and through here, before we put resin in. So a lot more to do, but we'll get to it here. Next thing I'm going to do is wash with a green wash the longer tufts we just made. Wherever that is, right here, I think. Yeah, so just some green tone that I'll put on those to darken them up. All right, now that that is dried, I'm going to go ahead and put some of this green grass down kind of sparingly. And then after that, we will wash it so it's much darker because it's going to be pretty bright, a lot brighter than I want it to be. So let's go ahead and get to gluing. So now that everything's dry, I went through and washed some of this grass with a dark wash, and then I also did the rest of the brown dirt area with a green wash. So we're going to go ahead and add some of those little tufts in, the ones that we made, as well as the ones that we have the deadland tufts. So let's add some of these in. To pour resin, which is great. I saw a trick online that we are going to try where you basically put rice into the spots where you want your resin, and then you can use that rice to measure how much resin you need. So let's go ahead and try that. I do want this to be a shallow pour for a lot of these spots, so we're pretty close here. I'm going to go ahead and take this rice off, and we'll measure it out to see how much resin we need, and hopefully that works. Okay, so that is all the rice that was in there. So not a lot needed. I'm going to go ahead and mix up the resin now. Probably just a little more than this total, just so we have enough. And I'll be right back for the pour. All right, we are ready to pour. Again, I'm going to do a real light coat, or thin coat, I should say, and hope this works out. All right, that is all poured. I'm going to go back through and pop some bubbles. And here's a look at the finished product. We are finished. I am so happy with this. I think I'll be writing a swamp scene into my campaign very soon. The resin worked out great. Didn't have to worry about sealing anything with the edges. Again, this I think looks really great. You can see kind of stuff through that as well. So again, very happy. If you enjoy terrain building or miniature painting, as always, please like and subscribe. Thanks.